Jain, in fact, she was inside the US Congress when that speech was made. She caught up with the Congressman Joe Crowley minutes after the Prime Minister Modi's rousing speech. Listen in.
I'm not used to seeing my Republican colleagues stand for speeches in the House chamber, especially when the President gives them. So it was unusual to see everyone standing, I think, in unison in hearing the Prime Minister's speech today. It was great.
So in a sense, there is bipartisan support for a good relationship with India, despite whatever would be the election outcome.
Well, I think the Prime Minister made some light humor towards that. We all appreciated that. And we are in the middle of a political year. You know, the Prime Minister is no stranger to that as well, and says that a similar situation exists back home for him. But I do think on the issue of India, there has been a strong bipartisan effort. We look at the relationship, not as a Democratic or Republican relationship, but as an American relationship. And I've always said, and I believe very strongly, that this relationship, the one between the United States and India, is the most important foreign relationship we have in this century.
Well, as far as the nuclear cooperation goes, there was a mention that the Prime Minister made with regards to that. He touched upon climate change. He also touched upon the IPR regime, though it was a light mention regarding yoga. But what are your key takeaways from this?
I think what we take from this is that a greater understanding of India itself, that India is a mature democracy, that it is dealing with many of the same issues that we're dealing with, maybe on a grander scale. In terms of the population, but in terms of the protection of rights, and whether it's human rights or civil rights or intellectual property rights, that India is squarely in that game, and the Prime Minister understands how important it is, the future of India, to protect those rights and to protect the rights of others as well. And when it comes to global climate change, the agreement that he has signaled to the United States that he will agree with the Paris Accord. And that is huge for the world, not just for India, but for the world. I think, again, it shows the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, not only as a leader of India, but really a world leader. And I was very pleased that he made mention in his speech of the civilian nuclear transfer deal. I think that really was the impetus, the spark that really ignited this incredible flame that exists between us both, that we're both in, we're enjoying. It's a good flame of cooperation, mutual understanding, cooperation between the United States and India. I worked very hard on that during the Bush administration as a Democrat to see that through. One of the hallmarks of my time here in the House of Representatives, and I'm very, very pleased that he mentioned it, and to see that's moving forward in a very positive way.
Well, there were 460 business leaders and congressmen in total that were addressed by Prime Minister Modi yesterday.
Yes.
And today it was a full house. There were congressmen, like you mentioned, Democrats as well as Republicans, garnering support towards whatever the Prime Minister had to say. You also saw presence of certain businessmen and other dignitaries in the audience. But overall, yesterday there was an economic roadmap that was charted by the Prime Minister, and today he did touch upon the partnership of innovation and enterprise in California between the two countries. Going forward, what are your expectations when it comes to an economic relationship?
Well, I see that cooperation extends beyond the business world. The cooperation between our two governments, and what that can mean. It really is. You know, I think that it'll start in business, but I think it'll also help in terms of our intergovernment relationships when it comes to defense, when it comes to space exploration. And the ideas are hatched in India and in Silicon Valley in the United States. That entrepreneurial spirit is fostered in both countries and appreciated. And I think both our governments will benefit from that, and the world will benefit from the advancements that both India and the United States work together on.
Well, Malvika is pretty busy there inside the US Congress. I think she's standing by with another guest. Malvika, who do you have for us now?
Mukesh, Aghi, the president of USIBC. Dr. Aghi, welcome to CNBC-TV18. You were present yesterday at the USIBC event. It was organized by you. Today you also attended the joint session speech that Prime Minister Modi made before the US Congress. What were your key takeaways?
I think the Prime Minister said that let's forget the past. We had limitations, you had limitations. Now it's a relationship which is forged for 21st century. We have common issues, common opportunities, common challenges. Let's work together to make it a success, not only for two countries, but for the rest of the world also.
But do you think that the business community that was present over there, important to whatever Prime Minister Modi had to say, they have had concerns about ease of doing business? Of course, Prime Minister Modi in his speech emphasized that going forward, the business environment in India is going to improve. The FDI regulations have been eased. The regulatory environment is becoming more stable. There will be tax regime predictability. But has that been convincing?
Well, I think you can see the momentum picking up. I mean, last night we announced $45 billion worth of investment, and these are boardroom decisions. And I think their confidence level is going up that this government means business. They're more predictable, there's more transparent, and hopefully they'll improve ease of doing business. So I think they will take certain risk. For India, an opportunity of 7.9% growth last quarter, and they want to be part of that growth story.
Well, when you say $45 billion, we know that $3 billion will be coming in from Amazon. Who else will be investing in India?
Well, you saw Century Fox basically committing $5 billion, American Tower Corporation committing $4 billion, you had Cisco committing a couple of $1 billion. So I think all of that adds up to $45 billion.
Well, and the speech today, before the joint session of the US Congress, there were business leaders who were present there. There were academics. There were a whole host of dignitaries who attended the session in addition to the congressmen. You saw everyone giving a standing ovation to Prime Minister Modi, not once, not twice, but more than 3 times. Now, there is a bipartisan support that Narendra Modi has been able to garner, as is apparent from the kind of support and cheer that we heard for him inside the chamber. Do you think that will make your task simpler?
It will, in the sense is, as this administration is closing its term and the new administration comes in, regardless of it's Republican or Democrat, the sentiment is for India. Because this nation realizes that the partnership with India and the US is important, both from a security perspective and also from an economic perspective. So I think we see this momentum picking up moving forward in the next administration also.
And what kind of business opportunities would this bring for Indian businesses who want to invest in the United States and vice versa?
I think when you look at from the India side, we need to still work on this H-1B visa issue. I think we need to have agreements so there's a free movement of labor, professionals, so India's services business can pick up dramatically. I think we also have to look at on the pharma side. There are issues on both sides. US pharma companies saying IPR is the issue. From generic side, they have certain limitation. So we got to find the right balance itself. But I think for US companies, there's tremendous opportunity, both from a technology perspective and also from a capital investment perspective. I believe that US will play a pivotal role in India's renewable objectives and also on the infrastructure side.
Well, you touched upon IPR. Prime Minister Modi also mentioned intellectual property rights, even though that was on a lighter note, saying that we are not seeking IPR yet for yoga. Is there a growing acceptance that the rules of the game are a bit different in India and the US companies must live with them?
I think I would say not acceptance, but more understanding that you have a nation which has a large population which is poor, and you can't have medicines which are priced at a certain price point. So I think Gilead is a good example where they took the hepatitis C product and brought it down itself. So I think you'll see more and more US companies trying to look at price points which are different.
All right, and can you tell us some sectors which are looking attractive for investment in the United States, which could be potential opportunities for Indian businessmen?
Yes, obviously, definitely on the generic pharma side or on the IT side, we are seeing that. We're also seeing a lot of auto components coming from India into the US side. So the opportunities are tremendous.
Well, Prime Minister Modi mentioned yesterday in his speech that the United States should open its markets not just to products from India, but also to services. You did touch upon the visa issue. There are also concerns pertaining to, just outsourcing as a whole. Is there also a greater realization that that is also maybe a win-win for both sides?
I don't think so. The reason I'm saying is outsourcing in election year is a political issue. So the reasoning fades away. I believe that once the dust settles down on the election, US companies, they need India's outsourcing to bring their costs down, to become more competitive, to do more R&D in India. So I believe that issue of the political issue will die down and you see more opportunities coming through.
Wonderful, Dr. Aghi. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, okay.
We were in conversation with Dr. Mukesh Aghi, the president of